Hello students. So today we are going to start chapter 2, People as a Resource. People as a resource, this chapter is an effort to explain population as an asset for the economy rather than a liability. So let us understand the two words asset and liability. We can understand this by a simple example. Let us take an example of a home. For example, there is a family of 4 members, and out of 4 members, only one person is found to be working. The three are depending on the first one. Then the three we can say to be a liability on the first. So ultimately, we shall find one to be an asset and three are liabilities. Maybe the children and maybe the adult people. Generally, we do not say children to be a liability because when we are spending money on education, on training, on medical care, ultimately in future they are going to turn to asset. Now let us take this in broader terms, in terms of country. So when we talk about this in terms of country, we are going to talk about population. So is population an asset for the economy? Yes, population becomes an asset when the population becomes a human capital. Again, population when turns to be a human capital, then we can say it to be an asset to a country. When there is investment made in the form of education, training, and medical care, then we can say the population to be an asset. Now, in fact, human capital, what it is a stock of skill and productive knowledge which is found to be inculcated in the human beings. Now, a question is there how a population becomes an asset for the economy of a country rather than being a liability when we are spending money on education, training, and medical care. Now, next is that what do we mean by people as a resource? People as a resource is nothing, is a way of referring to a country's working people in terms of their existing productive skills and abilities. So, what is people as a resource? Number of working people of a country in terms of existing productive skills and abilities. Now, one query comes to mind when we are talking about people as a resource, that what is gross national product? We should know what is gross national product. The other name for gross national product is gross national income. Gross national income is the total domestic and foreign output claimed by the residents of a country. That is the total income of the workforce population claimed by the residents of a country, that is said to be gross national income or gross national product. Now, population as a human resource. This topic can be easily explained by the 3 points which I have taken. Is large population a positive or negative side for a country? It can be negative as well as positive for a country. For example, if a country is there with a large population and people are least aware, they are not spending money on education of their children, they themselves are not educated, they themselves are not skilled, the employment is found to be less. When the people who are educated they are found to be unemployed, then we can say the large population to be a negative or to be a negative aspect for a country. So, if in a country we say a large population to be as positive, that means that particular country is spending money on human resource especially on education, training, and medical care. Because if the people are educated and healthy, that is what is human capital formation that adds to the productive power of the country, just like physical capital formation. So, when we are investing in the human capital by education, training, and medical care, ultimately we are going to get a return just like we invest in physical capital. So, this can be seen directly in the form of higher incomes because of higher productivity of one or more educated or better trained persons, as well as the higher productivity of the healthier people. I mean to say that if the people are healthy, if they are much educated, they are going to earn a good amount, and when they are going to earn a good amount, their livelihood will be better. And ultimately, the economy of the country is also going to rise. Now, how does one invest in human capital? One invests in human capital by investing on the education, by investing on the training, by investing on the medical care facilities. That means if you are educated and not healthy, then also you won't be able to give addition to the national income. So, all the three aspects are necessary. Now, can we consider Green Revolution to be a great example of greater knowledge? Yes, we can consider Green Revolution to be a great example of greater knowledge. When in India Green Revolution was found to be there, we find the production to be all of a sudden increased. We all know that the land area is fixed, and at that time the population was found to be excessive. And as per the demand of the population, we needed more and more grains. So we can say that Green Revolution is one such movement by which, or you can say it to be a greater example of greater knowledge, a big example of greater knowledge, because it was the knowledge by which we have used the HYV seeds, human made fertilizers, and then we were the one to increase the productivity or the yield and ultimately meet our needs. Now, educated and healthy versus educated and uneducated and unhealthy. In this slide, you can replace the word, the second word, educated. It is to be uneducated. I have written by mistake educated. So, educated and healthy versus uneducated and unhealthy. If a person is educated and healthy, ultimately he will have a good lifestyle. Similarly, he is going to think for his own benefit and his future generations will also be good. If a person is uneducated and unhealthy, that means he is not going to take care about himself. He won't be able to earn for himself. His lifestyle will be deteriorated, and ultimately his family will be suffering. And when he is suffering, then he won't be able to give rise, or he won't be a part for the national income to give rise. Now, we say two words, virtuous cycle and vicious cycle. Now, what is virtuous cycle and what is vicious cycle? For example, in your book, there is a story of Sakal and Vilas. Now, we know very well after reading this story, we come to know that Sakal, he got an education, and his father and mother, they both were interested in making their child educated, and ultimately Sakal was the one to gain education after completing his school, and he got education in computer, and he got a job on it, and he was able to earn a good amount. So his education has made him become an asset for the country. So, for example, when these parents were thinking that we need to spend on education, his healthcare, and we need to provide him training, and they provided him the training in the form of computer technology. Similarly, when Sakal is going to grow and he is going to get married and he is going to bear the children, he will also think positively in the same way as his parents are thinking. Again, his children, when they grow up, they are also going to think in the same way. So, what is going to happen? A circle is found to be created, and they are thinking all in the same manner. That is, we need to spend on education, we need to spend on skills, we need to spend on our healthcare. So that is said to be a virtuous cycle. Now in the case of Vilas, we know very well that his father was not there. His father died in an early age, and his mother was the one to earn the money, that also 150 rupees per month, by selling the fishes in the market, in the labor market. As a result, we find Vilas to be suffering from diseases, and he was not able to study just because of circumstances also, and also because he was not interested, you can say. So, what is he going to think when he grows up? Why to spend the money on education? It is useless because, firstly, his condition will not be same. But ultimately, if he thinks in such a way after getting married that I'm going to spend the money on the education of my child, it's okay, I'm not learned, but my child needs to be learned, then in that case, the vicious circle is going to turn to virtuous cycle. Presently, the case of Vilas, we call it to be a vicious circle because the thinking is going to rotate. But ultimately, if somebody or the Vilas himself, he thinks for his upcoming generation, no, I am going to make my children educated, then we shall find the change to be there, the vicious circle changing to virtuous circle. Now, let us think of Japan. Japan is a small island nation. Four islands, they all together make a Japan. We know very well that earthquakes are very common over there. Tsunamis, they are also very common over there. But still, Japan has become a rich and developed country. It is all because that Japan has invested money on its human resource, and as a result, the human resource that has turned to be a human capital. And as a result, though the natural resources they are less, but just because of their knowledge, skill, and being healthy, they have used the limited natural resources and turned their country to be a rich and developed country. We know very well that land is also a natural resource, and other things also we know very well. We studied in chapter 1. So we can only use them if we have skills. Now let us come to the second last point, the three sectors, primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. So, on the basis of the work or the economic activities which are done by the men and women, we divide them into three categories: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. Now, primary sector, it includes agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, fishing, poultry farming, etc. Manufacturing, we know that something is being manufactured. We include manufacturing is being included in the secondary sector, and trade, transport, communication, banking, education, health, etc. They all come in tertiary sector. For example, if you have laid an industry, ultimately you are going to sell the product of it to the market. Now, when you are going to sell the product, ultimately tertiary sector is being developed. So, economic activities basically you can divide it into two parts: market activities and non market activities. Now, market activities they involve remuneration to anyone who performs, that is, you are earning money, either activity performed for pay or profit, and the non market activities are the production for self consumption. So, when you are producing only for yourself, that is non market activities, and these can be consumption and processing of primary product and own account of production of fixed assets. That is, you have only fixed asset and you are using it for your own self consumption. Now, let us come to the last topic, what is quality of population. In a country, when do we say that the population is quality of population? The quality of population mainly depends on three things. If the population is literate, if the population is healthy, then we can say that their life expectancy rate will be greater, And skill formation acquired by the people of the country is going to make the country rich and prosperous. So, literacy, health, and skill, these are the three aspects which contribute to a quality of population. The quality of population ultimately decides the growth rate of the country. Literate and healthy population are an asset to a country, and unhealthy and unliterate, that is uneducated population, they become a liability to a country.